We're continuing with lines, and one of the most important ideas is to graph a line. We're going to need to see how to do that. There's going to be multiple ways, but the most basic way is to plot points. So let's get started here with the skill we're going to need to be able to graph. So what they're saying here, well, let me talk you through this. I'm not sure what they were trying to show, but we can pick, if you have a graph of a line, this one would be something like this. If you have the graph of a line, it goes on forever in either direction. That's what the arrows are indicating. So I could pick any value for x, any value I want, and there must be some matching value of y, because no matter where I am on the x-axis, any particular value of x, there is some value of y where they intersect on the line. No matter where I pick, so I'm down here, there is some value where these connect. So for every line, there's always an infinite number of partners that are on the line. Now there's lots of points that aren't, but there's always a point every different location where they're on the line. So what I can do is this. Here's my point. I can go through and pick just any x values I want, and then I can find the partner that he's paired with. So at 0, -1 is his partner. At 1, 4 is his partner. Now mine is not to scale here, but so now let me show you. So here's what we're saying. This line y equals 4x minus 2. I'm just going to pick some different values of x and find out who his partner is. So let's see if they've done it here. So yeah, they've done all of them here, but so let's put 0 in. There is some solution to this system when x is 0. Let's find the value of y that makes that true. So I'm putting 0 in for x, I'm crunching it down, and I get y is -2. So when you put in 0, you get out -2. Okay, so those guys are partners. If I put in -1 for x, there's got to be a value that he partners with. I crunch it down, it turns out that that value is -6. I put in 2, there must be a value for his partner. I crunch it, it turns out that is 6. And in this way, we can find enough. So if you want to graph a line, we're not quite there yet, but if you want to graph a line, the customary way to think of it is pick 3 points, find 3 points, and then you have enough to connect them. Okay, so that's showing the same thing. So let's do this again. So you could pick any 3 points and you would be able to find a partner that's on the line. Now let's pick 0 for x. They want us to pick 0. So I'm putting in 0 -1. I'm just subbing it in for x. Well, if I tidy this up, I get that 0. I get y must be -1. So when you have 0 for x, his partner is -1. Now let's try it again. This is -3, -4. So when you plug -1 in, his partner is -4. Do one more here. Okay, you plug in 2, you crunch it down, you get out 5. So those are partners. Now I don't think we're doing it yet, but if we plotted these 3 points, we could then connect them and we'd be able to make our line. Now pause if you want to try. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So that'll be 0, so I get 1. So those are partners. Okay, so when you put in 1, you get out 7. So 1 and 7 are partners. Crunch this, you get y is -12 plus 1. Get -11. Okay, and those are partners. So again, we could plot these 3, and I'm sure we're going to do that very soon. You can plot the 3 and connect them. Okay. I don't understand what this is doing. Okay, so same thing. What they've done here is they've mixed it up by giving us a y value. Typically, if you do this, you're doing this with the x's, but they just want us to see that you could go either way. But x is the way you would normally do this. So let's fill in this table. Let's find the partnerships. If I put in 0, I'm going to get, this will all go away, so I'll have negative 5y equals 20. So a little bit more algebra skill here. We've got to divide both sides by negative 5 to get it alone. So y would be negative 4, positive by a negative. So that's his partner. Okay, now they gave us a y. It's usually done the other way around, but we'll go ahead with this. Now we're putting in a y value. So this would be 0. See how that drops out. So divide both sides by 2, and x must be 10. So 10 and 0 are partners. Oh, actually, I know why they're doing this. It's actually a good idea. Okay. Now we're putting in negative 5 for x. Now this is going to have a little more work, so we've got negative 10 minus 5y is 20. So remember, positive and a negative make a negative. Now I want to get the factor puzzle alone, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Now you divide by a negative 5 to get it to go away, the same exact value. Okay, so those are partners as well. All right, pause this if you want to try, but I'm going to work through another one here. They've told us the value of the x. So I get negative 4y equals 12. Y is negative 3. So that's a partnership. Now let's do the other one. 3x minus 4 times 0 equals 12. So that'll drop out. I'm left with 3x equals 12. So x is 4. Okay, let's try one more. We're putting in negative 4 for x. Remember, that's negative 12. Okay, to solve this, I got to add 12. So I want the factor puzzle, so I'm getting rid of the negative 12. To do that, you would add it. Dividing away a negative 4. You take the whole thing and the sign. It's not changing signs here. This is just how you get rid of that number. So I have y as negative 6, positive by a negative. Okay, so we've got, that's supposed to be a negative 4 there. Okay, let's see what else they got for us. I don't understand what they're doing here. Let's jump ahead. So I think what they're saying is, let's find any 3 solutions that we want. So this will be more like how it works when we're plotting points. You can pick any values that you want to take. Now, there's a reason why when you're graphing you'd want maybe like, well, you always take 0 because it's going to make the math really simple. So I always recommend trying 0. Now, yeah, you can take anything you want, but when we graph them, you typically want something on the negative side and something on the positive side in order that you can connect them. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to just do it here, even though this might not be the easiest 3 numbers we could have picked. Okay, so I picked the numbers, and now I'm going to find out who the partner is. So remember, any numbers could have been picked for x because every x should have a partner that's on this line. That'd be 3. Now I'm not going to make the other column, but this is the partnership, 0, 3. So I'm putting in negative 1 this time. I'm putting in my selections. That would be 2 because of negatives, 2 negatives. Give y is 5. Now one more. I'm going to put in negative 2. These are all, I was picking all x's, so I'll get this. Y is 1. Okay, I have 3 solutions, 3 partnerships that are on this line. And if I wanted, which I'm sure the next video will do, we would graph these and then connect them. Okay, let's try another one here. Pick anything you want. So I'm going to do the same I did before, but again, if you're not graphing, you don't need to balance it out with a positive and negative, but so you see this will drop out, y is going to be 1. Okay, multiply that, I get 4 plus 1. So y is 5. So negative 1 and 5 are a partnership that solves this equation. Negative 3. So 1, negative 3. Okay. Yeah, let me jump ahead. It's the same thing, but they have this in standard form, and let me tell you why they're picking the items they did. I didn't first understand, but now I see it. So we're doing the same thing, and you could pick any 3 numbers you want, and it would still work out. But the power of this standard form is that we want to sometimes find those intercepts, which are the places where it hit the axis. It's really valuable information to know those 2 locations on the graph. And actually, although typically we graph with 3 dots, 3 solutions to graph the line, if you have the 2 intercepts, it's customary that that's good enough. And so here's what I'm rambling about. When you're in the standard form, it makes finding those intercepts very easy, or finding those places on the x-axis. It means if you choose 0 for x, you're going to find where you hit the y line. And if you pick 0 for y, you're going to find, so 0 for y, you'd find where you hit the x line. So they want 3 solutions, but they're going to choose 0 for x and 0 for y, because it's very easy to do that when it's in this standard form. Very easy. The math is very simple, and those are 2 valuable locations. So we're doing exactly the same thing, and if you pick different numbers, you're going to get the same solution, but you get the same idea, but we're going to see how valuable it can be to have the standard form and to pick these zeros. See, if I put 0 for x, it's already gone. The 2 times 0 is gone, and all I'm left with is 3y equals 6. So y is 2. So this would be called the y-intercept. This is where we're going to hit the y line. It would be at 0, 2. Now we're going to go in reverse, and we're going to do 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. So I get 2x equals 6. Divide both sides by 2. I get x is 3. The math was very simple. So 3, 0 are also partners. This is called the x-intercept. Because y was 0, I'm on the x-axis. I have to be. Okay, let's do one more. Now really, if you were graphing, the intercepts are good enough to do that. But let's go ahead and find one more, because that's what they asked us to do. Now, I'm getting the factor puzzle alone, so I'm doing this. Okay, provided I did not mess up, we get an odd one. We get 4/3. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to make my little table here, and I'm going to pick the 0 for x and 0 for y. I'm going to find those intercepts, and then we'll just pick 1 for the 3rd one. Because this is such valuable information, I'm going to choose those. Also makes the math easy. Okay, so if I put in 0 for x, it drops out immediately. I get 2y equals 8. I get y is 4. Okay, let's go the other way now. I'm putting in 0 for the y. I get 4x equals 8. This dropped out immediately. Divide both sides by 4. I get x is 2. Okay, finally I'm putting 1 in for the x. y is 2. All right, there are my three solutions, 3 points on the line. This is my y-intercept, and this one is my x-intercept. Okay, I was again expecting a little bit more, but there's a good introduction to lines, how to use the Cartesian plane, how to work with standard form, and then we learned a little bit about how to find those intercepts.